So next I'm going to give the functionality to this message component. So for that I'm going to the message component, and here I am going to define a new function. I'm giving the name of the function as send message, an arrow function. I'm going to use the add doc from the Firebase Firestore. So for that, I'm going to import the add doc from Firebase Firestore. I'm going to give the async await and try catch. I'm going to call this send message function in the on click of the send button, as like this way. Next, I'm going to define the variable that is user doc, and I'm going to use the doc function from the Firebase. As a first argument, I'm going to pass the database, as like this way. And as a second argument, I am going to give the name of the collection users. And as a third argument, we need to pass the ID. So what I'm going to do, we know that this is a database of our Firebase. And here, this is the document of the user Bill. And this is the document of the user Steve. So here, I'm going to send the message from the Steve's account. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a subcollection named message in the bills document. So when the Steve is sending message, I'm going to create the message collection, subcollection containing the message of the Steve's in the bills document. So for that, we need to pass the bills document ID. Okay. So we know that we have already have an auth.currentuser.uid. That UID is of the current user's UID. So for here, it is the current user's UID is of the Steve's UID. But we need the UID of the bill. So for that, in the network component, we are already using the bill's ID, that is from the each user. So I'm going to log that each user first here, as like this way. So now you can see that in the network component, when I take the console, here is the ID of the bill. So I'm going to use that ID from the network component in the message component. So for that, we have already used the link component from the React Router DOM and wrapped this message button. So I am going to pass this ID from the network component to the message component. So by using the state props. So as like this way, I am going to pass the username, that is each user dot username, and ID each user dot ID. Next, I am passing the profile image as each user dot profile image. So here we can see that here is ID, profile image, and username as like this way. So we have passed these details to the message component. Okay. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these details in the message component. So for that I'm going to define a variable named location, and I'm going to use the use location hook from React Router DOM. So here I am going to log the location as like this way. So now you can see that in the message component, here is the details such as location.state.id, profile image, and username. So I am going to pass this ID into this doc function as a third argument. So location dot state dot id as like this way. Next, I'm going to define another variable, and I'm giving the name of the variable as message doc, which is equal to the function doc. And as a first argument, I'm going to pass this user doc as like this way. And as a second argument, I'm going to pass the name of the subcollection, that is message. So I'm going to create a subcollection called in message. So we have to give the name of the subcollection as the second argument. And as a third argument, we need to pass the ID. So I'm going to give the ID as the same ID that I have given here. So I'm copying this same ID from here, and I'm going to paste it here. Okay. Then next I'm going to define another variable, and I'm giving the name of the variable as message ref. And I'm going to use the collection function. And as a first argument, I'm going to pass the message doc. And as a second argument, I'm going to pass the name of the collection. So I'm going to create separate collection for separate users messages. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give as message hyphen the ID. So I'm going to give the ID of the user who is sending message. So for here, as an example, the Steve is sending message. So that means the current user is sending message. So I'm going to give the ID of the current user, that is auth dot current user dot UID. Okay. After that, I'm going to use this message ref as the first argument in this add doc. Okay. The next what I'm going to do is, as a second argument, we need to pass the object, that is a message. So for that, I'm going to define a state, that is message, as like this way, and set message, which is equal to use state as like this way. And I'm going to use this set message in the text field, on change of the text field here, e dot target dot value as like this way. Then I'm going to pass this message here. Okay. So now I'm going to click on the send. I'm going to send a message here. I'm giving as hi, and I'm going to click on the send. So now you can see that a new subcollection will be created. Yes, as like this way. And you can see that there is the message hi. As of now, here the user who sent the message is Steve. This is the Steve's ID. That can be seen here. Okay. So next what I'm going to do is to show the message in the message page here. This is the bills account. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to define another function, that is show message, as like this way. And I'm going to use the get doc function, that is doc get docs function. Okay. And I'm giving the async await. I'm using the try catch as like this way. And I'm giving get docs here. Next, I'm going to do is to define another variable, that is user doc. So here we need to define three variables. So I'm going to copy these variables from the send message function and I'm going to paste it here. But we need to bring some changes. That means we are going to get the messages to show from the current user. That means here it is present in the bills document. So I'm going to give the auth.currentuser.uid here. Auth.currentuser.uid. And here we need to give the ID of the opposite or the user who requested for connection. Then next I am going to give the auth.currentuser.uid in here also. Okay. So next I am going to do is to give this message ref as the argument into this get docs function. The next I am going to assign this into a new variable, that is data. Then I'm going to log this data. Then you can see that in the console. And I'm going to call this show message in the use effect hook. So I'm going to take the console here and you can see that here is a query snapshot. So as of now, it is not in the form that we can use directly. So I am going to convert it. So for that, I am going to define another variable, that is const filter data. This is equal to data dot docs. I'm going to map through that all docs. Okay, so I'm going to give the, or I'm going to call the data function method on each doc. So I'm going to use that each doc here and I'm going to give or pass the ID also, doc.id. Next, what I'm going to do is to define another variable, that is message data. So here as message data, set message data as like this way. And I'm going to pass that filter data into this set message data. Okay, so now you can see that I'm going to log the message data here. So now you can see that I'm going to take the console here. Then you can see that message data here. So we have passed the ID and also the message. So I'm going to use that ID message here. So in the div, I'm going to map through the message data. That is message data dot to map. return H5. I'm going to use it as user message and user message dot message. So now you can see that here it is the message. Okay. So next what I'm going to do is we need to pass the username and the profile image also. The username and profile image of the sender. So here it is the Steve who sent the message. So we need to pass the username and profile image of the Steve. So here we have only passed the message. So we need to pass the username and the profile image. We have given the route to the message component from the network component as like this way. So the route to the network component is given in the navbar component as like this way. And also we have the details of the current user's username and profile image in this user data. So I'm going to log the user data as like this way. So now you can see that this is the details. It contains the details such as the username, profile image, and designation email of the current user. So I'm going to pass that details into the network component. So for that, I'm going to use the state props and I'm going to pass the details such as profile image and the username. So I'm going to do is I'm going to pass it as current user pro image as like this way and the current user name as like this way. So now we can take that details in the network component using use location hook from the React router DOM. So I am going to define a variable that is location and I am going to assign the use location hook as like this way and I am going to log the location. So now you can see that in the network component, here is the details such as current username and current user profile image. So next I am going to do is to pass these details into the message component using the state props here. So here I am going to pass the current user name by using location dot state dot current user name. And next I am going to pass the profile image that is current pro image as location dot state dot current profile pro image. Okay. So now you can see that in the message component, we can take these details by using the location, use location hook. So I'm going to log this location as like this way. So now you can see that the details such as the username, profile image, ID, and the current profile image and current username also. So we can use the details here. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass these details also along with the message. So here as username that is location dot state dot current user name and profile image as location dot state dot current user pro image. So now you can see that I'm going to message one more time. So I'm going to take the message component and here I am going to message as how are you, and I'm going to send the message. Now you can see in the database a new document has been created, that is the document which contains the message, profile image and username. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to show the username and the profile image here. Here we have already shown the message as like this way. So I am going to show the username and the profile image. So in the image tag, I am going to pass user message dot profile image. And here I am going to pass the user message dot username. So now you can see that here is the profile image and the username. So I'm going to give a style in this image tag such as width 30 px, height 30 px, and border radius 40 px. So now you can see that the structure as like this way. Okay. Next I am going to give a style, that is display flex, and also align items center. So now you can see that this is the structure. I'm going to remove this message. So now you can see that the structure very clearly. I'm going to give this message data inside this dependency array. At that time it will load automatically. Okay, so now you can see the profile image and the user name. So I am giving a style to the message as margin left 30 px and a margin left to this username also. Okay, so now you can see that this is the structure. Here I am going to give a style, that is font weight as 100, as like this way. Okay, so as of now you can see that the message is showing in the bills account. That means the user who receives the message. So next we need to show this same in the message page of the user who sent the message. So here it is Steve's message component. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to define another function, that is add message, in which I'm going to write the functionality for adding a subcollection message into the user who sends the message. So for that, I'm going to copy the same function and to paste it here. And I'm going to give the name of the function as add message. So here, what I'm going to do is, from the Steve's account perspective, we need to add a new subcollection in the Steve's document. So for that, we need the Steve's ID here. So here I'm going to pass the auth.current user.uid as like this way. And here also I'm going to pass the same. And here I am going to pass the bills ID. We have a location.state.username and location.state.profile image. So we have already logged the location here. So I'm going to take the console. So in the console, you can see that here is the ID. So when we take the database, you can see that this is the ID of bill that can be seen here. So we can pass the ID as location.state.id as like this way. Okay. After that, I'm going to call this add message function inside this send message as like this way. Okay. So now I'm going to send a message one more time. So here I'm going to give that where are you? And I'm going to send the message. At that time, you can see that it is shown in the Steve's message page also. Okay. Okay. So next I'm going to type a reply from here, and I'm going to send to the Steve. At that time, you can see that it is shown here and also in the Steve's page. Okay. So the messages functionality is completed. I'm going to change the design of this page. So for that, in the message component, I'm going to use the paper component from the material UI as like this way, paper list item, and inside this list item I am going to paste this div. So now you can see that